A racist store owner humiliates a black customer in front of teenager, unaware of who the customer really is. Andre Bennett stepped into the small convenience store, the familiar jingle of the bell above the door announcing his arrival. It was a typical Tuesday afternoon, and the sun cast a warm glow through the windows, illuminating the aisles filled with snacks, drinks, and everyday essentials. Andre had been coming to Carlton's Corner for years, a local staple in his neighborhood. He appreciated the convenience of the store, especially when he needed supplies for the community events he organized. As he walked down the aisle, Andre's mind was preoccupied with the upcoming community picnic. He was excited about the event, which aimed to bring together families from all walks of life. It was a chance to foster unity and celebrate the diversity of their neighborhood. He picked up a few bags of chips and some drinks, mentally calculating what else he might need. "Hey, Andre," a voice called from behind the counter. It was Carlton Stone, the store owner. Carlton was a stout man in his 50s, with a thick mustache and a demeanor that often bordered on gruff. Andre had always found him a bit standoffish, but he brushed it off as part of the store's charm. "Hey, Carlton, just picking up some snacks for the picnic," Andre replied, trying to keep the conversation light. Carlton's expression shifted slightly, a flicker of something unreadable crossing his face. "You know, I don't think we need any more of your kind hanging around here," he said, his tone dripping with disdain. Andre's heart sank. He had encountered prejudice before, but it still stung. "What do you mean by my kind?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "You know exactly what I mean," Carlton shot back, his voice rising. "You people come in here, taking up space, and I don't want any trouble." Andre felt the heat rise in his cheeks. He had always prided himself on being a calm and composed individual. But Carlton's words ignited a fire within him. "I'm just here to buy some snacks, Carlton. I've been a loyal customer for years. There's no need for this." Carlton leaned over the counter, his eyes narrowing. "I don't trust you. You look like you're up to no good. I've seen your type before." The humiliation washed over Andre like a cold wave. He could feel the eyes of a teenager who had just entered the store, watching the exchange unfold. The kid, no older than 16, stood frozen near the entrance, his expression a mix of confusion and disbelief. "Is this how you treat all your customers?" Andre asked, his voice low but firm. "I'm just trying to support my community." "Support? Ha! You're just here to steal," Carlton spat, his voice dripping with contempt. "I don't want you in my store." Andre's fists clenched at his sides. He had a choice to make. He could either confront Carlton and risk escalating the situation or walk away, preserving his dignity but feeling the weight of the humiliation. He glanced at the teenager, who was now shifting uncomfortably, clearly unsure of how to react. "Look, I'm not here to cause trouble," Andre said, trying to defuse the situation. "I'm just trying to buy some snacks for a community event. You can check my bag if you want." Carlton scoffed, crossing his arms. "I don't need to check anything. I know what you're up to." The teenager finally spoke up, his voice shaky but determined. "Hey man, that's not cool. You can't just accuse him like that." Carlton turned his attention to the teenager, his expression darkening. "And who are you to tell me how to run my store?" "I'm just saying you don't know him. He's a good guy," the teenager replied, stepping closer to Andre. "I've seen him around. He helps out in the community." Andre felt a surge of gratitude toward the teenager. It was a small act of bravery, but it made a difference. "Thanks, man," he said, giving the kid a nod. Carlton's face reddened, and he pointed a finger at the teenager. "You better watch your mouth, kid. You don't know what you're talking about." The tension in the store was palpable. Andre could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. He had always believed in standing up against injustice, but this was different. He was in a vulnerable position, and the humiliation was overwhelming. "Why don't you just apologize?" the teenager suggested, his voice steady. "You're being a jerk for no reason." Carlton's eyes narrowed, and for a moment Andre thought he might explode, but instead he took a deep breath, his anger simmering just below the surface. "I don't need to apologize to anyone," he said defiantly. Andre felt a mix of frustration and disappointment. He had hoped that Carlton might see reason, but it was clear that the man was entrenched in his prejudices. "You know what? I don't need this," Andre said, turning to leave. "I'll take my business elsewhere." As he walked toward the door, the teenager called after him. "Wait, don't let him get to you. You're better than that." Andre paused, glancing back at the kid. "Thanks for standing up for me," he said, his voice softening. "It means a lot." "Anytime," the teenager replied, a hint of admiration in his eyes. "You're a good guy. Don't let him ruin your day." With that, Andre stepped out of the store, the bell jingling behind him. The warm sun hit his face, but the humiliation lingered. He took a deep breath, trying to shake off the encounter. It was just one moment, but it felt like a significant blow to his dignity. As he walked down the street, Andre couldn't help but replay the incident in his mind. He had faced racism before, but this felt different. It was as if Carlton's words had cut deeper than usual, and he couldn't shake the feeling of anger and frustration. But then he thought about the teenager. The kid had stood up for him, and that gave him a glimmer of hope. Maybe there was a chance for change, even in the face of ignorance. Andre resolved to channel his anger into something positive. He would not let this moment define him. Arriving at his office, Andre sat down at his desk, the weight of the day still heavy on his shoulders. He opened his laptop and began to type, pouring his thoughts into an article about the importance of community and standing up against prejudice. He wanted to share his experience, not just for himself, but for others who might face similar situations. As he wrote, he felt a sense of empowerment wash over him. He was determined to use his voice to advocate for change, to inspire others to stand up against racism and discrimination. The encounter with Carlton had been painful, but it had also ignited a fire within him. Andre finished the article, feeling a sense of accomplishment. He knew that sharing his story could help others understand the impact of prejudice and the importance of standing together as a community. He hit publish and felt a wave of relief wash over him. Later that evening, as he prepared for the community picnic, Andre reflected on the day's events. He had faced humiliation, but he had also found support in an unexpected place. The teenager's bravery had reminded him that change was possible, and he was determined to be a part of that change. As he set up for the picnic, Andre felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was ready to celebrate the diversity of his community and to foster connections among its members. The incident with Carlton would not define him. Instead, it would fuel his commitment to creating a more inclusive and understanding environment for everyone. Andre Bennett stepped into Carlton's Corner, the local convenience store that had been a staple in his neighborhood for years. The bell above the door jingled cheerfully, but the atmosphere inside was anything but welcoming. Andre could feel the weight of the stares from the few customers scattered throughout the aisles. He brushed it off, focusing instead on the task at hand, picking up supplies for the community picnic he was organizing. As he made his way to the snack aisle, Andre's mind raced with thoughts of the upcoming event. It was a chance to bring families together, to celebrate their diversity, and to strengthen the bonds within the community. He envisioned laughter, food, and connection, everything he believed was necessary for fostering unity. He grabbed a few bags of chips and some drinks, mentally ticking off items on his list. Just as he was about to head to the register, he heard a familiar voice. "Hey, Andre," Carlton Stone, the store owner, called from behind the counter. Carlton was a stout man in his 50s, with a thick mustache and an expression that often seemed to scowl, even when he was being friendly. "Hey, Carlton, just getting some snacks for the picnic," Andre replied, trying to keep the conversation light and casual. Carlton's eyes narrowed slightly, a flicker of something unpleasant crossing his face. "You know, I don't like how you people come in here, acting like you own the place," he said, his tone dripping with disdain. Andre felt his heart drop. He had encountered prejudice before, but hearing it so blatantly delivered from someone he had once considered a community member stung deeply. "What do you mean, you people?" Andre asked, trying to keep his voice steady, though he could feel the anger bubbling beneath the surface. "You know exactly what I mean," Carlton replied, leaning over the counter. "You think you can just stroll in here and take whatever you want. I've seen it before." Andre's fists clenched at his sides. This wasn't just a slight. This was a full-on attack. "I've been a loyal customer for years, Carlton. I'm just here to buy some snacks for a community event. There's no need for this." "Community event?" Carlton scoffed. "More like a gathering for troublemakers. I don't want any of your kind in my store." The humiliation washed over Andre like a cold wave. He glanced at the teenager who had just entered, standing awkwardly near the door and clearly overhearing the exchange. The kid's eyes widened, and Andre could see confusion mixed with shock on his face. "Look, I'm not here to cause trouble, Andre said, attempting to defuse the situation. I'm just trying to buy some snacks. You can check my bag if you want. Carlton's expression hardened. I don't need to check anything. I know exactly what you're up to. The teenager finally found his voice, stepping forward with an uncertain look. Hey, that's not cool, man. You can't just accuse him like that. Carlton turned his glare toward the teenager, his eyes narrowing. And who are you to tell me how to run my store? I'm just saying, you don't know him. He's a good guy, the teenager replied, his voice trembling slightly but gaining strength. I've seen him around. He helps out in the community. Andre felt a surge of gratitude toward the kid. Thanks, man, he said, appreciating the support. It was a small act, but it made a difference in the face of the hostility he was experiencing. Stay out of this, kid, Carlton snapped, his face reddening. You don't know what you're talking about. The tension in the store had reached its peak. Andre could feel the humiliation burning in his chest, mixing with anger. He had a choice to make: confront Carlton and risk escalating the situation further, or walk away, preserving what dignity he had left. Why don't you just apologize? The teenager suggested, his voice unwavering. You're being a jerk for no reason. Carlton's face twisted in anger, but Andre took a deep breath. You know what? I don't need to be treated like this. I'm just trying to support my community, he said, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside him. Support? Ha! You're just here to steal, Carlton replied, the venom in his words clear. Andre felt the heat rising in his cheeks. I'm done with this, he said, turning to leave. I'll take my business elsewhere. As he walked out, the teenager called after him. Wait, don't let him get to you. You're better than that. Andre paused, glancing back at the kid. Thanks for standing up for me, he said, feeling a small sense of relief amidst the embarrassment. It means a lot. Anytime, the teenager replied, a hint of admiration in his eyes. You're a good guy. Don't let him ruin your day. With that, Andre stepped outside, the bell jingling behind him. The sun hit his face, but the weight of humiliation lingered. He took a deep breath, trying to shake off the encounter. It was just one moment, yet it felt like a significant blow to his dignity. As he walked down the street, Andre couldn't help but replay the incident in his mind. He had faced racism before, but this felt different. Carlton's words had cut deeper than usual, and he couldn't shake the frustration. But then he thought about the teenager. The kid had stepped in when it mattered, and that gave him a glimmer of hope. Maybe there was a chance for change, even in the face of ignorance. Andre resolved to channel his anger into something positive. He would not let this moment define him. Arriving at his office, Andre sat down at his desk, the weight of the day still heavy on his shoulders. He opened his laptop and began to type, pouring his thoughts into an article about the importance of community and standing up against prejudice. He wanted to share his experience, not just for himself, but for others who might face similar situations. As he wrote, he felt a sense of empowerment wash over him. He was determined to use his voice to advocate for change, to inspire others to stand up against racism and discrimination. The encounter with Carlton had been painful, but it ignited a fire within him. Andre finished the article, feeling a sense of accomplishment. He knew that sharing his story could help others understand the impact of prejudice and the importance of standing together as a community. He hit publish and felt a wave of relief wash over him. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting an orange hue across the neighborhood as Andre Bennett prepared for the community picnic. He stood in his kitchen, surrounded by a flurry of activity. The smell of grilled burgers wafted through the air, mingling with the sweet scent of fresh lemonade. Today was supposed to be a celebration, a day where families could come together, share food, and enjoy each other's company. However, the earlier incident at Carlton's Corner weighed heavily on his mind. Andre had spent the night tossing and turning, replaying the confrontation over and over again in his head. The humiliation he felt lingered like a shadow, and despite the excitement around him, he couldn't shake off the anger that simmered just below the surface. "Dad, can you help me with the decorations?" His daughter Jasmine called from the living room, pulling him back into the present. She was 10 years old with a bright smile and an enthusiasm that could light up a room. Her spirit was infectious, and Andre felt a rush of love for her as he stepped into the living room. "Of course, sweetheart," he replied, forcing a smile. "What do you need?" As they worked together to hang colorful streamers and balloons, Andre found solace in Jasmine's laughter. She was excited about the picnic, eager to see her friends and enjoy the festivities. He admired her innocence, the way she saw the world without the weight of prejudice clouding her vision. "Are we going to have games?" Jasmine asked, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "Absolutely. We've got sack races, a three-legged race, and a water balloon toss," Andre said, his excitement building. "It's going to be a blast." Just then the doorbell rang. Andre wiped his hands on a kitchen towel and headed to the door, expecting to see a neighbor or another family member. Instead, he was met by the sight of the teenager from Carlton's corner, standing nervously on his doorstep. "Hey, you're the kid from the store," Andre said, surprised. "What brings you here?" I wanted to apologize for how Carlton treated you," the teenager said, his voice a bit shaky. "I didn't mean to get involved, but I couldn't just stand by and let him talk to you like that." "No need to apologize," Andre replied, touched by the young man's sincerity. It took courage to speak up. "What's your name?" "Tyler," he said, offering a shy smile. "I live a few blocks over. I thought I'd come to see if you needed any help with the picnic." Andre felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. "That would be awesome. We could always use an extra pair of hands. Besides, it's an excellent way to meet others in the community." "Cool, I'd like that," Tyler said, his nervousness fading as he stepped into the house. As they worked together, Andre learned that Tyler was passionate about photography, hoping to capture the essence of their neighborhood through his lens. "Maybe you could take some pictures during the picnic," Andre suggested. "It would be great to have some memories of the day." "Definitely, I'd love to," Tyler replied, his eyes lighting up. "I'll make sure to get some good shots." The two quickly fell into a rhythm, moving from the kitchen to the backyard, where the picnic tables were set up. Andre felt a sense of camaraderie building between them, a shared purpose that transcended the earlier awkwardness. As they arranged the tables and set out the food, Andre couldn't help but appreciate Tyler's enthusiasm. The teenager was a breath of fresh air, reminding him that hope still existed even in the face of adversity. He was grateful for the support and the sense of community that was beginning to form around the picnic. "Hey, can I ask you something?" Tyler said, pausing to catch his breath. "What was it like growing up in this neighborhood?" Andre smiled, reflecting on his own childhood. "It was a mix of everything. There were challenges, of course. I faced my share of prejudice, but I also had a strong support system. My parents taught me the importance of resilience and being proud of who I am." "Did you ever feel like giving up?" Tyler asked, a hint of curiosity in his voice. "Of course, but it's about how you respond to those challenges," Andre replied, feeling a sense of responsibility to impart wisdom. "Every time someone tries to bring you down, you have to rise above it. It's not easy, but it's worth it." Tyler nodded, absorbing Andre's words. "I get that. I've had my own experiences with people judging me for my interests, like photography. Sometimes it feels like I have to prove myself." "You don't have to prove anything to anyone but yourself," Andre said, a sense of conviction in his voice. "Follow your passion, and don't let anyone dim your light. You have a gift, and it's important to share it with the world." As they continued to prepare for the picnic, Andre felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was determined to create an environment where everyone felt welcome, where they could come together as a community, regardless of their differences. Hours later, as families began to arrive, the atmosphere shifted from a simple gathering to a vibrant celebration. Laughter echoed through the air as children raced around, and the smell of food wafted through the backyard. Andre felt a sense of pride watching people connect, sharing stories and smiles. "Look, Dad, they're playing the games," Jasmine exclaimed, pointing toward a group of children participating in a sack race. Andre watched as the kids stumbled and laughed, the joy radiating from their faces. "Isn't it great?" he said, feeling a warmth spreading through him. "This is what it's all about." As the festivities continued, Andre noticed Tyler mingling with the other teenagers, snapping candid photos of the event. It was heartwarming to see how quickly he had integrated into the group, and Andre felt a sense of satisfaction knowing that he had played a part in creating an inclusive environment. But as the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the gathering, Andre noticed a familiar figure approaching from the edge of the crowd. It was Carlton, and his heart sank. "Great," he muttered under his breath, bracing himself for a confrontation. Carlton walked up to Andre, a forced smile on his face that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Nice little party you've got here," he said, his tone laced with sarcasm. "Didn't think you'd be able to pull it off." Andre felt his blood boil at the man's audacity. "What do you want, Carlton?" he asked, keeping his voice steady despite the anger brewing within him. "I just came to see what all the fuss was about," Carlton replied, glancing around at the festivities. "You know, I'm surprised you got all these people to show up. Thought they'd be too busy causing trouble." Tyler, who had been nearby, overheard the exchange and stepped forward. "This is a community event, Mr. Stone. Everyone's welcome here. Even you," he said, his voice firm. Carlton's expression darkened. "And who are you to speak to me like that?" he snapped, turning his attention to Tyler. "I'm someone who believes in standing up for what's right," Tyler shot back, his posture straightening. Andre felt a swell of pride for the teenager. "And what's right is that you should leave," Andre said, taking a step closer to Carlton. "You're not welcome here with your attitude." "Is that so?" Carlton challenged, his voice rising. "You think you can just push me out? You think you're better than me?" "No, but I think you need to learn some respect," Andre replied, feeling the tension crackle in the air. The moment felt charged, and he could sense the community watching, waiting to see how this would unfold. "Respect? You don't know the first thing about it," Carlton shot back, his face flushed with anger. "You're nothing but a troublemaker." "Enough," Andre said, his voice calm but firm. "This is about community, about bringing people together. You're the one creating division." As the tension between them escalated, Andre could feel the eyes of those around them, the weight of their judgment hanging in the air. He had to stand his ground, not just for himself, but for everyone who had come to support the event. "Why don't you just leave before you embarrass yourself even more?" Tyler added, stepping beside Andre. Carlton's expression twisted in anger, but Andre could see the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. For a moment, it felt like the tide was turning, that the community was ready to stand together against the prejudice that had plagued them for too long. "Fine, I'll leave," Carlton spat, turning on his heel and marching away. "But don't think I'll forget this." As he walked away, Andre felt a mix of relief and triumph. The community had witnessed the confrontation, and for the first time, it felt like they were united in standing against the prejudice that had stained their neighborhood. "Thanks for having my back," Andre said to Tyler, who was grinning from ear to ear. "Anytime," Tyler replied, his excitement infectious. "You were amazing." As the night wore on, Andre felt a renewed sense of hope. The picnic had become a symbol of resilience, a testament to the strength of community in the face of adversity. He was proud of the connections being forged, the stories being shared, and the unity being celebrated. As the picnic continued, the air buzzed with laughter and chatter, the warm glow of string lights illuminating the backyard. Andre Bennett felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him as he watched families gather, children playing games, and friends reconnecting. The earlier confrontation with Carlton Stone had shaken him, but it also ignited a fire within him, a determination to foster a sense of unity in his community. "Dad, can we play the water balloon toss next?" Jasmine asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. She tugged at his sleeve, pulling him toward the makeshift game area where a group of kids was already gathering. "Sure thing, let's go," Andre replied, feeling a swell of pride as he followed her. The sound of laughter and splashes filled the air, a soothing balm for the earlier tension. As the water balloon toss began, Andre joined in, tossing balloons back and forth with Jasmine. Each successful catch was met with cheers, and the children's laughter echoed in the summer dusk. The atmosphere felt electric, a stark contrast to the negativity that had threatened to overshadow the day. In the midst of the fun, Tyler approached Andre, his camera in hand. "Hey, I got some great shots of the games. You want to see?" he asked, his enthusiasm palpable. "Absolutely, let's check them out," Andre replied, feeling grateful for Tyler's presence. The teenager had become an integral part of the event, capturing moments that Andre hoped would serve as a reminder of the community's strength. They moved to a quieter corner of the yard, away from the raucous laughter. Tyler pulled out his camera and began scrolling through the images he had taken. Each photo showcased genuine smiles, kids caught in mid-laugh, and families enjoying each other's company. "This one is my favorite," Tyler said, showing Andre a photo of Jasmine mid-laugh, her face lit up with pure joy. You can really see how happy everyone is. Andre chuckled, feeling warmth spread through him as he looked at the image. That's a great shot, Tyler. You really have an eye for this. Thanks. I love capturing moments like this, Tyler replied, a hint of pride in his voice. It's important to show the good in our community, especially after what happened earlier. Absolutely, Andre agreed, reflecting on the importance of highlighting positivity. We need more stories like this to drown out the negativity. As they continued to flip through the photos, Tyler's expression turned serious. Do you think Carlton will come back? I mean, after the way he acted? Andre felt a knot form in his stomach at the mention of Carlton's name. I wouldn't put it past him. People like that often don't take rejection well, he said, his voice low. But today is about us, about celebrating our community. We can't let his actions overshadow that. Yeah, you're right, Tyler replied, nodding. It's just frustrating, you know? Why can't people just be decent to each other? I wish I had an answer for you, Andre said, his expression somber. But all we can do is keep pushing for change. If we stand together, we can make a difference. Just then, Jasmine ran over, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Dad, can we have a dance party? Everyone is moving over to the grassy area for music. Sure, let's get everyone together, Andre said, his spirits lifting at Jasmine's energy. As the impromptu dance party began, families moved to the center of the yard, music blaring from a portable speaker. Andre watched as parents danced with their kids, laughter mingling with the beat of the music. The joy was infectious, and he felt himself loosening up, letting the rhythm take over. Tyler joined in, snapping pictures of families dancing, capturing moments of joy and connection. Andre felt a sense of gratitude for the teenager. He had become a catalyst for positive change, reminding everyone of the power of community support. But as the night wore on, Andre's instincts kicked in when he spotted a familiar figure lurking at the edge of the yard. It was Carlton, his silhouette outlined against the fading light. Andre's heart sank. The man had returned. Hey, I think Carlton's back, Tyler whispered, his voice tense. Andre glanced over, narrowing his eyes. Yeah, I see him. Let's keep an eye on him. Carlton stood with his arms crossed, watching the festivities with a mix of contempt and frustration. Andre could see the anger etched on his face, and he felt a surge of protectiveness for the community he had worked so hard to bring together. Do you think he'll try to cause trouble again? Tyler asked, his concern evident. I hope not, but we need to be prepared, Andre replied, his mind racing. If he does, we'll stand together. This community is stronger than his hatred. As the music played on and the dance party continued, Andre felt a sense of unity among the attendees. They were all there for one purpose, to celebrate, to connect, and to support one another. He had no intention of letting Carlton's vitriol ruin the night. Suddenly the music paused, and the crowd turned towards Carlton, who had stepped into the light. What's going on here? He shouted, his voice booming through the night air. This is a disgrace. Andre felt the tension in the air shift, a collective gasp rippling through the crowd. He stepped forward, his heart pounding. Carlton, this is a community event. You're not welcome here if you're just going to spread negativity, he called out, his voice steady. Carlton's eyes narrowed, and he pointed a finger at Andre. You think you can just take over this neighborhood? You don't belong here. Andre could feel the heat rising in his chest. I've lived here my entire life. I'm part of this community, just like everyone else. You're the one causing division. Division? Carlton sneered. You're the one who's trying to change everything around here. People like you don't know how to respect the way things are. The crowd murmured, a mix of confusion and anger filling the air. Andre could see the faces of his neighbors, many of whom had witnessed the earlier confrontation. He had to stand firm. People like me? You mean people who care about their community? People who want to see everyone treated with respect? Andre shot back, feeling empowered by the support of those around him. Respect? You think you deserve respect after what you did? Carlton's voice dripped with contempt. You're just a troublemaker looking for attention. Tyler stepped forward, his shoulders squared. No, Mr. Stone, you're the troublemaker. This is a celebration of our community, and you're trying to ruin it. Carlton turned his glare on Tyler, but Andre could see the tide beginning to shift. The crowd was rallying behind him, voices rising in support of unity and togetherness. Enough is enough, Carlton, Andre said, his voice rising above the noise. We're not going to let your hatred divide us anymore." In that moment, the crowd erupted into cheers, their support echoing in the night. Andre felt a rush of adrenaline as he realized that they were standing together, united against the prejudice that had plagued their neighborhood for too long. Carlton's expression shifted from anger to confusion, and for a moment, Andre thought he might back down. But instead, Carlton took a step back, his shoulders slumping slightly. "You think this is over? You haven't seen the last of me," he spat before turning and storming away. As Carlton's figure disappeared into the darkness, Andre felt a wave of relief wash over him. The crowd erupted into applause, the sound of unity ringing in his ears. He turned to Tyler, who wore a triumphant grin. "You did it! You stood up to him," Tyler exclaimed, his excitement infectious. "Thanks to all of you," Andre replied, looking around at the smiling faces of his neighbors. "This is what community looks like, standing together against hate." The music resumed, and the dance party kicked back into full swing. Laughter, joy, and celebration filled the air once more. Andre felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that tonight was not just about the picnic. It was about fostering connections, building resilience, and creating a safe space for everyone. As he joined in the dancing, Andre felt lighter, the weight of the day's earlier events lifting. He was surrounded by a community that had rallied together, proving that love and support could triumph over hate and ignorance. In that moment, he knew that they were all in this together, and he was proud to be part of such a vibrant, diverse community. The atmosphere at the picnic had transformed from the tension of confrontation to one of celebration and unity. Laughter filled the air as families danced, children played games, and the smell of grilled food wafted through the backyard. Andre Bennett felt a sense of relief wash over him as he took in the scene, the earlier confrontation with Carlton Stone fading into the background. However, Andre knew that the threat of Carlton's return loomed like a dark cloud over the festivities. He couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. As the evening wore on, he made it a point to keep an eye on the entrance to the backyard, scanning for any sign of trouble. "Dad, can we do the three-legged race next?" Jasmine asked, her eyes wide with excitement. She tugged at his arm, pulling him away from his thoughts. "Absolutely. Let's gather everyone," Andre replied, his heart lifting at his daughter's enthusiasm. He wanted this day to be perfect for her and the community, a moment to forget the negativity and focus on joy. As they set up for the race, Andre called over several families, encouraging them to join in. He felt a renewed sense of purpose, determined to make this picnic a day of connection, not just for his daughter, but for everyone who showed up. "All right, everyone, gather around for the three-legged race," Andre announced, clapping his hands to draw attention. "Pair up and grab a bandana or anything to tie your legs together." The children squealed with excitement as they paired up, laughter ringing out as friends and siblings awkwardly tied themselves together. Andre's heart swelled as he watched the joy on their faces, the innocence of childhood shining brightly. Just as Jasmine tied her leg to her friend's, Andre felt a prickling sensation at the back of his neck. He turned slightly and saw a figure lingering at the edge of the crowd. Carlton. Andre's stomach tightened. The man had returned, and now he stood watching the festivities with an angry scowl. "Dad, what's wrong?" Jasmine asked, noticing the shift in his demeanor. "Nothing, sweetheart. Just keep having fun," Andre said, forcing a smile. But inside, he felt a wave of dread wash over him. He couldn't let Carlton ruin this day, especially not for Jasmine. As the race began, Andre forced himself to focus on the laughter and cheers around him. He clapped and cheered for the participants, trying to push away the anxiety that gripped him. But every few moments, he stole glances at Carlton, who remained rooted to the spot, his expression a mixture of fury and resentment. "Ready, set, go," Andrea shouted, and the children took off, stumbling and laughing as they tried to coordinate their movements. The sight of their joy brought a smile to his face, but the nagging feeling in his gut wouldn't let go. After the race concluded, Andre took a breath, trying to shake off the tension. He walked over to Tyler, who was crouched down, adjusting the settings on his camera. "Hey, Tyler, did you see Carlton?" Andre asked, keeping his voice low. "Yeah, I spotted him. He hasn't moved since I saw him," Tyler replied, glancing toward the edge of the yard. "What do you think he's planning?" "I don't know, but I'm not taking any chances," Andre said, his voice firm. "I want to make sure everyone feels safe here. If he tries to start something, we need to be ready. I'm with you. We'll stick together, Tyler said, his expression serious. I have your back. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the picnic, Andre felt a mixture of hope and anxiety. The community had come together in such a beautiful way, but he couldn't shake the fear that Carlton would attempt to sabotage the event. Let's get back to enjoying the party, Andre said, trying to push his worries aside. We have food to eat and music to dance to. They returned to the main area where families were settling down for dinner. The tables were filled with an array of dishes, grilled burgers, hot dogs, salads, and desserts. The aroma was mouth-watering, and Andre felt his stomach grumble in appreciation. All right, everyone, dinner is served, Andre announced, clapping his hands. Dig in and enjoy. As people filled their plates, Andre felt a sense of camaraderie enveloping the group. Conversations flowed freely, laughter echoed around him, and the sense of community was palpable. It was everything he had hoped for, a moment of togetherness that could drown out the negativity of the day. But as the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, Andre's unease returned. He scanned the crowd again, his eyes landing on Carlton, who had moved closer, standing just outside the group, but clearly watching. Tyler, can you keep an eye on things for a minute? I need to check on something, Andre said, his voice low. Sure, I'll keep watch, Tyler replied, nodding. Andre stepped away from the crowd, making his way toward Carlton. The man was leaning against a fence, arms crossed over his chest, his face a mask of disdain. As Andre approached, he could feel the tension crackling in the air. Why are you here, Carlton? Andre asked, keeping his voice steady. You made it clear you're not welcome. Not welcome? This is a public space, isn't it? Carlton shot back, his tone sharp. I can stand wherever I want. Yeah, but you're not here to celebrate. You're here to stir trouble, Andre replied, refusing to back down. Carlton's face twisted into a sneer. You think you can just take over this neighborhood? You don't belong here, and you never will. People like you are what's wrong with this community, Andre said, his voice rising. We're trying to build something positive. You're the one creating division. Carlton stepped closer, invading Andre's personal space. You're nothing without your little gatherings, just a loudmouth trying to make a name for himself. Maybe I am a loudmouth, but at least I'm speaking up for what's right, Andre countered, his heart pounding. You're just hiding behind your prejudices. For a moment, it felt like the world had narrowed down to just the two of them, the tension palpable. Andre could feel the weight of the crowd behind him, the energy shifting as they sensed the confrontation. You think you can change things here? You think people will follow you? Carlton hissed, his face flushed with anger. I won't let that happen. Andre took a deep breath, feeling the anger bubble up within him. You don't get to dictate who belongs here. This community is about inclusion, respect, and love. You need to understand that. Just then, a voice from the crowd called out, Hey, Andre, we need you for the group photo. The momentary distraction snapped Andre's focus. He hesitated, glancing back at the crowd, where people were gathering with smiles on their faces, ready to capture the moment. Andre felt a surge of warmth. This was what it was all about. See, Andre said, looking back at Carlton, this is what community looks like. People coming together, supporting each other, no matter their background. Carlton's expression darkened, but Andre stood his ground. He could feel the support of those around him, and it bolstered his resolve. Get out of here, Carlton, Andre said firmly. You're not welcome. We're done with your negativity. Carlton's face twisted in frustration, and for a moment Andre thought he might lash out, but instead he stepped back, sneering. You'll regret this, Bennett, he spat before turning and walking away, his anger evident in every stride. As Carlton faded into the distance, Andre felt a wave of relief wash over him. He turned back to the crowd, who were now cheering and clapping, their support ringing in his ears. Let's get that photo, Andre shouted, a smile breaking through the tension. He joined the group, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. The moment was a testament to their unity, a celebration of what they had accomplished together. As they posed for the photo, Andre couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. The community had come together, standing against prejudice and creating a safe space for everyone. This was just the beginning, a step toward a brighter future where everyone felt valued and respected. As Carlton Stone walked away, Andre Bennett felt a sense of relief wash over him. mixed with a lingering anxiety. The tension that had gripped the picnic moments earlier began to dissipate, replaced by the warmth of community spirit. Laughter rang out as families gathered for the group photo, the earlier confrontation now fading into the background, overshadowed by the joy of the moment. "Come on, everyone, let's get in close," Andre called out, waving his arms to gather everyone together. He felt a surge of gratitude as neighbors stepped forward, smiles wide on their faces, ready to celebrate the unity they had forged that evening. As they lined up for the photo, Jasmine squeezed her way to the front, beaming with excitement. "Dad, I want to be in the middle," she exclaimed, tugging at his shirt. "All right, Princess, you can take center stage," Andre replied, ruffling her hair affectionately. The sight of her joy filled him with warmth, and he realized how important it was to create moments like these for her and the community. Once everyone was settled, Andre positioned himself at the back, raising his phone to capture the moment. "Say community on 3, he shouted. 1, 2, 3. Community, they all cheered, their voices blending together in a chorus of unity. Andre pressed the shutter, capturing the smiles, laughter, and spirit that radiated from the group. In that instant, he knew that this was what it meant to belong, coming together, supporting one another, and standing against negativity. As the group dispersed, Andre felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned to see Tyler, the teenager who had stood up for him earlier. "That was awesome. You really showed him," Tyler said, his eyes bright with admiration. "Thanks, man. It takes all of us to make a stand," Andre replied, feeling a sense of camaraderie with the young photographer. "You've been a huge help today. I appreciate it." "I just did what I thought was right," Tyler said, shrugging. "I want to be part of a community that supports each other. Just like you." Andre felt a swell of pride. "That's the spirit. We need more people like you who are willing to stand up for what's right." As the evening wore on, the picnic continued to flourish. Families enjoyed the food, children played games, and the sound of music filled the air. Andre took a moment to step back and soak in the atmosphere. This was what he had envisioned, a celebration of community, resilience, and togetherness. However, as the sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, Andre couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered. Carlton was still out there, and while he had backed down for now, Andre knew that the man's prejudice wouldn't disappear overnight. He had to remain vigilant. "Hey, Dad, can we go check on the dessert table?" Jasmine's voice broke through his thoughts. "Sure thing. Let's go see what we've got," Andre replied, forcing a smile as he took her hand. They made their way to the table, where an array of desserts awaited: brownies, cookies, and a colorful cake that Jasmine's friend had baked. "Look at all this!" Jasmine exclaimed, her eyes wide with delight. She reached for a cookie, her face lighting up. "Can I have one?" "Of course, just one for now. We don't want to ruin your dinner," Andre said, handing her a cookie. As she munched happily, Andre scanned the crowd again, noting the families mingling and enjoying themselves. But his gaze kept drifting toward the edge of the park, where he had last seen Carlton. He could feel the knot of anxiety tightening in his stomach. "Hey, are you okay?" Tyler's voice pulled him back to the moment. He had joined them at the dessert table, a concerned look on his face. "Yeah, just keeping an eye out. I'm still worried about Carlton," Andre admitted, glancing toward the perimeter of the gathering. "Do you really think he'll come back?" Tyler asked, his brow furrowed. "I wouldn't put it past him," Andre replied, his voice low. "People like him don't just walk away. They stew, and then they strike when you least expect it." "Maybe we should do something," Tyler suggested, his determination shining through. "We can keep watch, make sure everyone is safe." "I appreciate that, Tyler. It's just that I don't want to ruin the atmosphere for everyone," Andre said, glancing around at the smiling faces. "But I also can't ignore the possibility of trouble. It's a fine line. Let's just stay alert. If we see something, we can deal with it together," Tyler offered, his confidence evident. "Good plan. Thanks for being here," Andre said, feeling grateful for the teenager's support. "You're a good friend." As they finished their desserts, Andre noticed a small group of children gathered around the makeshift stage where a local band was setting up. The music began to play, and the energy shifted once more. People started to dance, and laughter filled the air again. "Come on, Jasmine, let's go dance," Andre called out, pulling her toward the music. "Yay, dance party," she squealed, running ahead of him. Andre couldn't help but laugh at her infectious enthusiasm. It felt good to join in the fun, to let the worries slip away, even if just for a moment. As they danced, Andre tried to push the thoughts of Carlton aside. The joy of the moment wrapped around him like a warm blanket, and he focused on Jasmine, who was twirling and spinning, lost in her own world of happiness. But just as he began to let go of his anxiety, a figure appeared at the edge of the crowd. Andre's heart sank as he recognized Carlton, standing with a small group of people, his expression dark and menacing. "Dad, what's wrong?" Jasmine asked, noticing the shift in his demeanor. "Nothing, sweetheart. Just keep dancing," Andre said, trying to maintain his composure. But he could feel the tension rising again, a weight pressing down on him as he watched Carlton. "Hey, everyone! Let's take a quick break," Andre shouted, raising his voice to gather attention. "We're going to take a group photo before we continue." The crowd responded enthusiastically, many of them moving to gather around him once more. Andre felt a rush of determination. If Carlton was going to try to disrupt the event, he would not let it happen without a fight. As everyone gathered for the photo, Andre's heart raced. He could feel Carlton's eyes on him, the man's contempt palpable even from a distance. But he pushed through the anxiety, focusing on his daughter and the community that had gathered together. "Say cheese," he called out, snapping the picture just as Carlton stepped forward, a dark cloud looming over the celebration. As the camera clicked, Andre's instincts kicked in. He knew he had to protect his community, to stand firm against the negativity that threatened to overshadow the joy of the evening. "All right, everyone, let's keep the energy going," he shouted, clapping his hands to maintain the momentum. But the weight of Carlton's presence lingered, and Andre felt the tension in the air shift once more. As the group gathered around for the next photo, Andre could feel the tension in the air thickening. Carlton loomed at the edge of the crowd, his presence a dark shadow over the celebration. Andre's heart raced as he tried to focus on the joy of the moment, but he knew he had to address the situation head-on. "Everyone, let's keep this energy up," Andre shouted, trying to rally the crowd. He could see that many people were watching Carlton, unsure of what might happen next. "This is our community. We're here to support one another, celebrate our strengths, and create a safe space for everyone." The crowd responded with cheers, a wave of solidarity washing over the gathering. Andre felt a surge of hope as he looked around at the smiling faces of his neighbors. They were ready to stand together, to push back against the negativity that threatened to mar their celebration. Just then, Carlton stepped forward, his voice cutting through the jovial atmosphere. "You think you can just throw a little party and change everything?" he barked, his anger palpable. "You don't belong here, and neither do your ideas of inclusion." Andre took a deep breath, stepping toward Carlton with a sense of purpose. "This isn't just a party, Carlton. This is our community coming together. We're tired of division and hatred. We want to celebrate who we are and support each other." Carlton's expression twisted in anger, but the crowd didn't waver. Andre could see the determination on their faces, the strength of unity pushing back against the man's prejudice. "Look around you," Andre continued, his voice rising. "These people are here to lift each other up. Your words won't tear us apart anymore." Carlton's sneer faltered, and for a moment he seemed taken aback by the collective strength of the crowd. Andre could feel the energy shifting. People were stepping closer together, forming a shield against the negativity. "Enough of this nonsense," Carlton shouted, but the crowd's murmurs grew louder, drowning out his anger. People began to chant, "Unity, respect, together." Tyler stepped forward, his voice strong and unwavering. "You don't own this neighborhood, Carlton. We do, and we're not going to let you bully us any longer." The chant grew louder, reverberating through the air as more people joined in, their voices a powerful chorus of resilience. Andre's heart swelled with pride as he watched the community stand together, refusing to let hatred win. Carlton's face turned red with fury, but he was clearly losing control of the situation. "You think this is over? You'll regret this," he spat, turning on his heel and storming away. As Carlton disappeared into the night, the crowd erupted into cheers. The weight of tension lifted, replaced by a wave of relief and celebration. Andre looked around, meeting the eyes of his neighbors, who were smiling and embracing one another. "Thank you all for standing together," Andre said, his voice filled with emotion. "Tonight is a testament to our strength, our unity, and our commitment to creating a community where everyone is valued. Jasmine ran up to him, her face lit with joy. "Dad, we did it! We showed him!" she exclaimed, hugging him tightly. Andre knelt down, hugging her back. "Yes, we did, sweetheart. And we'll keep doing it. This is just the beginning." As the festivities resumed, laughter and music filled the air once more. Andre felt a renewed sense of hope, knowing that their community had come together in a way that truly mattered. They had faced prejudice head-on and emerged stronger. As the night wore on, Andre watched Jasmine dance with her friends, her laughter ringing out like music. He knew that moments like these were vital, not just for her, but for the entire community. "We'll continue to build this community," he whispered to himself, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "Together, we can create a brighter future." With that thought in mind, Andre stepped back into the crowd, ready to celebrate the resilience and strength of his community. They had faced adversity together, and he knew they would continue to rise up against any challenges that lay ahead. You've made it to the end. If you enjoyed this story, I am confident that you'll love the next one appearing on the screen now. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and please give this video a like. I'll see you in the next one.